Trump got into a heated exchange with the NBC reporter Peter Alexander. This was fun.
The FDA is working on it right now. The advantage is that it has been prescribed for a totally different problem, but it has been prescribed for many years, and everybody knows the levels of the negatives and the positives. But I will say that I am a man that comes from a very positive school when it comes to, in particular, one of these drugs. And we'll see how it works out, Peter. I'm not saying it will, but I think that people may be surprised. By the way, that would be a game changer. But we're going to know very soon. But we have ordered millions of units. It's being ordered from Bayer, and there is another couple of companies also that do it.
For clarity, Dr. Fauci said there is no magic drug for coronavirus right now, which you would agree. I guess on this issue,
I think we only disagree a little bit.
Sorry.
I disagree. Maybe and maybe not. Maybe there is, maybe there isn't. We have to see. We're going to know.
Is it possible that your impulse to put a positive spin on things may be giving Americans a false sense of hope?
No, I don't think so.
The preparedness right now.
No, I don't think so. I think that I think it's got
the not yet approved drug.
Such a lovely question. Look, it may work and it may not work. And I agree with the doctor what he said. May work, may not work. I feel good about it. That's all it is, just a feeling. I'm a smart guy. I feel good about it. And we're going to see. You're going to see soon enough. And we have certainly some very big samples of people. If you look at the people, there are a lot of people that are in big trouble. And this is not a drug that obviously, I think I can speak from a lot of experience because it's been out there for over 20 years. So it's not a drug that you have a huge amount of danger with. It's not like a brand new drug that's been just created that may have an unbelievable monumental effect, like kill you. We're going to know very soon. And I can tell you, the FDA is working very hard to get it out. Right now, in terms of malaria, if you want it, you can have a prescription. You get a prescription. And by the way, and it's very effective. It works. I have a feeling you may, and I'm not being overly optimistic or pessimistic. I sure as hell think we ought to give it a try. I mean, there's been some interesting things happened and some good, very good things. Let's see what happens. We have nothing to lose. You know the expression? What the hell do you have to lose? Okay?
So what do you say to Americans who are nearly 200 dead? What do you say to Americans who are scared, though? I guess nearly 200 dead, 14,000 who are sick, millions, as you witnessed, who are scared right now. What do you say to Americans who are watching you right now who are scared?
I say that you're a terrible reporter. That's what I say. I think it's a very nasty question, and I think it's a very bad signal that you're putting out to the American people. The American people are looking for answers, and they're looking for hope. And you're doing sensationalism, and the same with NBC and Comcast. I don't call it Comcast. I call it Concast. Let me just for whom you work. Let me just tell you something. That's really bad reporting. And you ought to get back to reporting instead of sensationalism. Let's see if it works. It might and it might not. I happen to feel good about it, but who knows? I've been right a lot. Let's see what happens, John.
Let me get back to the science and the logistics.
You're ashamed of yourself.
The units that were
All right, I have a lot to say about this exchange. So believe it or not, I have mixed feelings on it. Before I get into it, let me just say that this is not... The stuff I'm going to say is not by any stretch of the imagination excusing Trump's abysmal handling of this outbreak. Because as you all know, and as I will continue to repeat because it's true, Trump fired the pandemic experts in 2018. He cut the CDC. He cut Health and Human Services. He repeatedly denied that we had a problem. It took until like mid-March before he was like, oh, yeah, this is a pandemic. It's really bad. And I've been saying it's a pandemic for a long time. No, you haven't. You were saying it's a Democratic hoax. You were saying, oh, it's just like the flu. It'll go away with the hot weather. We have 15 cases. It'll probably be down to 0 in no time. So I'm not excusing Trump here by any stretch of the imagination. But what I will say is this. Those questions really were stupid. They were so bad. The report, and somebody said on Twitter, I love this. They were like, this is literal pearl clutching. Like, dude is literally, good sir, you're being so impolite in violating the DC rules of decorum, good sir. Come on, with all your, like, their preening and self-aggrandizement, like, The media thinks they're such heroes, but they really do a terrible job. Like, they do such a bad job, by and large. So his question is, hey, do you think that your inclination to put a positive spin on things is giving people false hope? Well, guys, I hate to tell you, but on this very narrow, specific issue, Trump isn't necessarily wrong. The drug that he's talking about, there's one French study that showed good results, but there's issues with it because it wasn't double blind. There's other evidence that says, hey, maybe this drug isn't the best thing. But there genuinely is mixed evidence. And what Trump is saying there is like, yeah, I have a feeling it'll work. You can criticize that if you want. I think that's a fair thing to criticize. But hey, it might not, but there's a question here. This is a real thing. And for him to ask like, oh, do you think your, need to put a positive spin on things is giving people false hope? No, because this drug, there might actually be hope with this drug. So that's not, and then he goes on to say, well, what do you say to scared Americans? He was just saying that, hey, we have a drug that might work. So what do you say to scared Americans? I don't know. Maybe the thing I just said that you criticize me for? Like, what do you say to scared Americans? I was literally just talking about a drug that shows some promise. That's what I say to scared Americans. Now, again, I'm not excusing Trump on this because Trump handled it terribly. He downplayed it until he couldn't downplay it anymore. We're short on ventilators. We're short on masks. We're about to see a crisis, the likes of which I've never seen in my lifetime and you very likely haven't seen in your lifetime, depending on your age. But the overwhelming majority of you have not experienced a crisis like this in our lifetimes. But I think that line of questioning, at a time when that reporter should be asking laser-focused questions on, you just invoked the Defense Production Act, and you're not demanding that they create the ventilators and they create the masks. Why are you doing that? Why are you dragging your feet? New York is about to be totally overwhelmed in a few days. The hospitals are going to be overrun. This is going to happen in virtually every state. Why are you not immediately mandating that, these, former car factories tool up to make ventilators, which should be relatively easy in some instances with certain kinds of factories? Why are you not going 100 miles an hour in the right direction and producing right now? Because we need it right now. Instead, you invoke the act and then you do nothing? What are you doing? At a time when really serious questions need to be asked, what's this guy doing? Do you think your need to put a positive spin on things is giving people false hope? Why are you, in the middle of a pandemic, why are you asking a question about hope? Let's talk about our fifis. I don't care about your fifis or the country's fifis. I want results. I want them right now. That's what I want. That's what I need. I need you to make the ventilators. I need you to make the masks. I need you to go. I need the media to be on top of it. I need Trump to feel the pressure and to do it. And the question, what do you say to scared Americans? Yes, man. Yes, we get it. I was tweeting this early on. Trump is like literally made in a lab to be the least comforting leader in a time of crisis. Because he's all about what you're seeing right here. Like, let's go at it with the media. Like, I'm the embattled president. Like, yeah, it's me against the world. But that's not who you want in a crisis. You do want somebody who has a different set of characteristics that are more leader-like. But what do you say to scared Americans? It's like the thing I just said, that, hey, we might have a drug for this thing. We're working on it. Maybe it'll work. Maybe it won't work. But we're still working on it. And, like, my point is the questions from the media should be a hell of a lot more serious than they are. I'm not excusing Trump. His response to this whole crisis has been abysmal, and there's no way around it. But the media should be doing a better job. And there is some promise in this drug, but there's actually more promise in a Japanese drug that we covered on the show called favipiravir. And, there's reason to believe that this drug is very useful for people showing mild and moderate symptoms, as opposed to, I think, 11 days the number was, showing testing positive for the virus. If you give them this drug early on, they only have the virus for 4 days. Now, it doesn't work in the severe cases, and I think that one of the issues with the drug Trump is talking about is the same thing. There's some evidence that it works okay early on, but then later on for the more severe cases, it doesn't anymore. But yes, if I'm president in this, crisis, the first thing I'm doing is I'm immediately getting, by any means necessary, I'm creating ventilators, I'm getting them where they need to be. I'm creating masks, I'm getting them where they need to be. That's thing number one. Like literally building new hospitals as we speak, immediately. Getting more ICU beds. Go, 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 go. But on top of that, you bet your ass I'm going to fast track any and all drugs that might help this thing even a little bit. If that means that, cutting FDA red tape or whatever, I'm on it. I'm on it. There's no question there. So I think the reason why this back and forth is frustrating is because this guy's a self-aggrandizing dingbat. It's funny I brought up bats and we're talking about the virus that came from bats. But anyway, I think he's a self-aggrandizing dingbat. I think his questions aren't serious. And I think that at a time like we have right now, on top of Trump needing to do a better job, the media does as well, because the media should be asking very pointed questions about very specific failings to try to fix them. Namely, the lack of ventilators, the lack of masks, the lack of hospital beds, the lack of... You know what else this guy should be talking about? He should be begging Trump to do the national lockdown order. And every single governor should be doing a lockdown order right now, because what's going to happen is the same thing that happened in New York and the same thing that happened in Italy and Spain. We're going to drag our feet too long to the point of no return, and then our hospitals are going to get overrun. So we have to prevent that by any means, and we're not doing that. So that's where the question should be coming from. That's how you should go after Trump. Hey, man, you need to do a national lockdown right now. All the evidence shows that we're going to be overrun. Here's the latest date. Here's what's going to happen in the given states. What are you waiting for? You pressure him from a position that makes sense instead of this preening, self-aggrandizing nonsense about hope and your feelings. I don't care about that.